Ahoy hoy, I'm Planarwalk, and recently I took a very small look at Taboo Conspiracy's What Does It Mean to Be a Flat Earther video. Now, I didn't actually do a response to it. I made it look like a response video, but I really used it as a stepping off point to make a different kind of video, saying what it means to be a flat earther. Now, at the end of the video, I did have a message saying that I would make an actual response if enough people requested it. And although some people said that they didn't want me to make a response, there were enough people that requested me to make a response for me to actually make a response. So, here we are! Also, it should be noted that I don't entirely know what's in store. You see, I only watched a small amount of the video. I do have a suspicion of what's coming up, but I don't know, so I guess we'll find out together.
Hello everyone, my name is Taboo Conspiracy, and I'm a flat earther. As I've said before, I believe that flat earth is the key to ending our physical, mental, scientific, educational, financial, and spiritual enslavement.
So I've already kind of responded to this point in the previous video, but I actually want to go a little bit more in depth because I think I can do a better response to this point in this video. So the first thing that he mentions is that flat earth is the key to ending our physical enslavement. Which, I'm not sure what he means by that. Does he think that we're all being enslaved by having to work or something? Now, I know that some people will say, well, actually, yes, because you have to work, that means that you are enslaved, but that's a discussion for another day, which I'm not going to get into right now. Now, even if we agree that work equals enslavement, being a flat earther isn't going to fix that, because you need money. Although I suppose if you're a flat earther with a large enough audience, you can always ask your fans to give you money. Now, as for mental enslavement, I'm not sure what he means by that. Does he mean that we have this mentality that keeps us trapped in working or something? I'm not entirely sure. And I'm not sure how flat earth is going to fix that. Now, when it comes to scientific enslavement, I think I know what he means by that, because science has rules that you've got to follow, and flat earthers don't necessarily like these rules because it means that they can't just make up bullshit. I'm pretty sure he thinks that that is scientific enslavement, but moving on to educational enslavement. Yeah, you have to learn to read and write to be successful in life. That's not enslavement, that's just a fact of life. Now, as for financial enslavement, being a flat earther doesn't mean that you no longer need money. Just ask Nathan Oakley, for example. Although, I suppose some people would say, well, actually, Nathan Oakley is not actually a flat earther, so therefore he does need money. And real flat earthers don't need money. Checkmate! Now, as for spiritual enslavement, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's just making it up at this point. Although I think that he was making it up before as well, so that's nothing new.
My topic for this presentation is, what does it mean to be a flat earther?
I mean, I've already answered that question, but what is your answer to that, Taboo Conspiracy?
We know that the media would proclaim that flat earthers are just stupid or uneducated, holding on to unproven, antiquated beliefs.
But most people would also say that flat earthers are uneducated and holding on to antiquated beliefs that are unproven.
Well, I have a bachelor's, a Juris Doctorate, and a master's, and many other flat earthers also have advanced degrees.
Just because you have a degree in law, you didn't actually say what your master's and your bachelor was in, so I'm going to assume law, that doesn't mean that you're educated about the shape of the earth. Just because I have a Bachelor of IT, that doesn't mean that I'm educated on the shape of the earth either, although I did make this argument very recently, or a similar argument at least, because there was a flat earther that was really frustrating me by not understanding what I was saying. But the reason why I bring that up is because as I was doing my IT course, there was a flat earther that was doing that same IT course. I think they might have passed, although I'm not 100% sure on that. If there were a flat earther that got a degree in, let's say, advanced physics, I'd be more likely to take them seriously.
We have PhDs, engineers, pilots, military professionals, lawyers, surveyors, and teachers.
I hope there are no teachers that are flat earthers, because if there are, then I actually worry about the kids that are being taught by a flat earther.
Okay, so maybe we have the same formal education, but maybe we flat earthers are just ignorant of the heliocentric model.
Absolutely you're ignorant about the heliocentric model, because if you weren't, then there would be a ton of claims that you just wouldn't make due to their sheer stupidity.
Surprisingly, nearly every flat earther knows more about the heliocentric model than your typical ball earther.
Firstly, what flat earthers say that they know about the heliocentric model generally tends to be misunderstandings about the heliocentric model. And secondly, a lot of people just don't give a shit about the heliocentric model because they don't care about it. Of course you're probably going to know more than those people, although I'd say that some of those people still know more than flat earthers.
We're going to have a little quiz here. Let's see how good you flat earthers are at restating heliocentric dogma without looking up the answers.
Don't worry, Taboo Conspiracy. Most flat earthers won't know how to look up the answers anyway, so I think you're all good in that department.
Question 1. How fast does the ground of the Earth allegedly rotate at the equator?
Okay, this is actually going to be very interesting because I haven't seen Taboo Conspiracy's answer yet. But my answer would of course be 15 degrees per hour. Thanks, Bob. But I suspect that Taboo Conspiracy's answer will be 1,000 miles per hour. This of course ignores the fact that rotation isn't measured in miles per hour, you absolute muppet.
Approximately 1,000 miles per hour.
Fucking called it! Jeez, flat earthers are so predictable. And that's not even really heliocentric model dogma because, again, rotation isn't measured in miles per hour.
Question 2. How fast is the alleged Earth's orbit around the Sun?
So the answer here is technically one orbit per year, but I think that 24 kilometers per second is also a valid answer, although you get bonus points if you say 66.6 thousand miles per hour, which I'm guessing will be Taboo Conspiracy's answer, because bonus points for the 666.
66,600 miles per hour.
See? So predictable. I guess that's what it means to be a flat earther, to be predictable. Jeez, this is fun.
Question 3. How far away is the Sun purportedly from the Earth?
So the answer here, of course, is on average 1 astronomical unit, which is 150 million kilometers away. Now, my guess is that Taboo Conspiracy is going to give his answer in freedom units, so he will say 93 million miles away.
93 million miles.
Now, even though I predicted what answer that he would give, I'm not going to say that that makes him predictable for this question because, he got the right answer, and the only thing that I really predicted is exactly which units he'd use.
Question 4. How are seasons caused according to the heliocentric model?
Now, the answer here, of course, is the tilt of the Earth as it orbits the Sun. Now, I think that Taboo Conspiracy will give this answer, but I get the feeling that at some point in the video, he's going to mention distances to the Sun causing the seasons on the globe Earth. In fact, I think that at some point in this video, he'll bring up the fact that Earth is closer to the Sun at some points in its orbit and say that that should have more of an effect on the seasons than the tilt of the Earth should. Although, we'll just have to see about that.
Because the Earth is tilted.
So, no problem with that answer.
Question 5. How many degrees is the alleged axial tilt of the Earth?
Now this is one which I see the flat Earth answer way too often, which is 23.4 degrees, and they use that to twist it into, see, 66.6 degrees. But the real answer, I can't actually remember that off the top of my head. I think it's 23.1 or 23.7 or something? I'll Google it after the quiz, of course.
23.4 degrees or 66.6 degrees, depending on how you want to view it.
So I knew that he would bring up 66.6 degrees at some point, but I didn't think that he would actually shoehorn it into the answer like he did.
Question 6. How far away is the moon, allegedly?
So this is another one that I don't immediately know off the top of my head. I'm going to Google it because I know that he'll give his answer in miles. But I think it's about 324,000 kilometers away? I may be wrong on that, but we'll see. I'll Google it immediately after he gives his answer.
From surface to surface, it would be 234,000 miles.
So it turns out that it's 384,000 kilometers away. I was off by 60,000 kilometers. But why did he say surface to surface? I never actually have seen anyone say, what's the distance to the moon? Surface to surface.
Question 7. What is the radius of the alleged ball Earth and what is its circumference?
Now this is a case of if you know one, you can figure out the other pretty easily because maths is a thing that exists. But the circumference, I'm going to say approximately 40,000 kilometers. The diameter is approximately 12.5 thousand kilometers. But for the radius, I'm going to try and be as precise as I can, so I may be a little off, and I believe that is 6,731 kilometers-ish.
Radius equals 3,959 miles. Circumference, 25,000 miles.
So with the circumference, I did pretty well with that. With the diameter, I was off by about 200 kilometers, but with the radius, I mixed the 3 and the 7 around because I know that it has those 4 numbers. I just don't always remember the order that they're in. Maybe, and this is a life lesson to everyone, if I had have given my answer a bit more thought, I would have given a better answer.
Question 8. What formula can you use to determine the rate at which the alleged ball Earth drops away from you?
Alright, this is a fun one because I know the floof answer off the top of my head because it's the easiest goddamn thing to remember, and that is 8 inches per mile squared. But if you want the actual answer, I don't remember that off the top of my head because it has to do with cosine. Just use a curve calculator, damn it.
8 inches per mile squared.
Except that's wrong. You can't fault me for not knowing the actual answer when even flurfs don't know the actual answer, so they just stick with 8 inches per mile squared, when in reality you should just be using a goddamn curve calculator. Although, I can probably figure this out because problem solving is a thing that I do. Now, I believe that what you do is you take the distance to the object, convert that to radians, then you get the cosine of that, times that by the radius of the Earth, and then take the result that you get from that and minus that from the radius of the Earth, and that gives you the amount of drop. And I did verify that I was indeed correct, kind of, because when I said convert the distance to radians, what I mean is that's part of a curve. We know the entire circumference, so using that you can get the radians of that curve, and yeah. But yeah, the premise was correct.
Try to find any globe-loving audience anywhere that can answer those questions better.
Well, to be fair, sometimes I gave a better answer than what you did. Now, some of them I didn't remember exactly what they were, or sometimes I got some things mixed up, but everyone does that. Nobody has every single number memorized. It'd be like me asking, okay, what is the distance to the closest star system? The answer is, of course, 4 light years away. But not everyone is going to know that. And also, I do have to correct you when it comes to the axial tilt, because the axial tilt of Earth is not 23.4 degrees, it is instead 23.5 degrees. Sure, it's just 0.1 degrees off, but I knew that you're wrong on that somehow, but I do remember the flat Earth number, because 666. And also, I got the speed of the Earth around the Sun wrong. That is 30 kilometers per second, not 24 kilometers per second. I do prefer to work in metric, but again, why do I need to memorize all these things that I'm never going to use?
We flat earthers are certainly not ignorant to the heliocentric model.
Well, yes you are. Just because you've memorized a bunch of numbers to throw at people doesn't mean that you're suddenly not ignorant, because you still make arguments that display all your ignorance.
In fact, when you really think about the flying, vortexing heliocentric model, you begin to realize how stupid it really is.
Well, that is if you don't properly understand everything, aka if you are ignorant about it.
Since they try to obscure their actual beliefs, let me tell you what a ball earther believes.
Although none of us try to obscure what we believe, we actually try to explain it in as much clarity as possible so that flat earthers can at least try to understand what we believe.
They believe all of the planets, moons, asteroids, meteors, and satellites of our solar system are chasing after the sun that is flying around our galaxy at a speed of 514,000 miles per hour.
I wouldn't say that they're chasing after the solar system, it's more that they're moving along with it.
This video isn't scaled properly, but if you scale it properly with the sun having a diameter of just 1 centimeter on your computer screen, Pluto would then be outside your home 42 meters away from the sun. That's ridiculous.
Not really. The sun is a pretty big object, and big objects have a lot of gravity. You can even calculate the gravitational influence that the sun has on Pluto. Maybe try it sometime.
But what's even more crazy is the fact that they believe that all of the planets and moons of the solar system are all on this same plane of the sun as they chase after the sun.
Well, when you consider that the solar system was formed out of a protoplanetary disk, then it makes sense why they're all on the same plane, because a disk is flat. Oh shit, I just said the word flat. Flat earthers are going to use this as evidence for flat earth. Abort!
So, in a year time, the sun would have traveled in this left direction 4.5 billion miles in 1 year. However, planet Earth would have also traveled 4.5 billion miles, chasing after the sun in the same left direction. But in addition, Earth would have simultaneously traveled up and down 584 million miles in an ellipse around the sun. If you're still struggling with the silliness of this, next time you're in a marathon, try sidestepping back and forth at great distances while simultaneously trying to keep up with the leader, and maybe you'll see the problem.
So the first thing is that you don't seem to understand that A, some things can move faster than others and some things do move faster than others. But B, you don't seem to understand reference frames. So in a reference frame where the sun is stationary, then all the planets in the solar system are orbiting the sun. But in a reference frame where the center of the galaxy is stationary, then the solar system as a whole is moving through the galaxy. It's not that hard to grasp the concept of. It would be like being in the backseat of a car and throwing a ball to another person in the backseat of a car. In a reference frame where the car is stationary, you throwing the ball to another person is no different than if you're outside of the car and throwing a ball to them. However, in a reference frame where the ground is stationary, then the car moves as a whole, including everything inside the car.
Like I've said before, I don't care how many degrees you have. This is stupid.
Your incredulity doesn't necessarily mean that it's incorrect. Someone who understands it better than what you understand it is more trustworthy on the subject than someone that doesn't understand it, like yourself. Just because you've memorized a bunch of numbers and phrases doesn't mean you're knowledgeable in the subject. It just means that you managed to memorize a bunch of numbers and phrases. The more important things is, how do you actually arrive at that information, and what do you actually do with that information? If I figure something out for myself, take for example calculating the amount of drop you should see on the Earth's surface, then that is far more valuable than just being told it and repeating it. You see, I figure stuff out for myself all the time. And sure, maybe I haven't memorized the distance to the moon. Well, I do currently remember it's 384,000 kilometers away. But am I ever going to be in a situation where I need to know that knowledge and I'm unable to Google it? Probably not. But understanding the question that is being asked and figuring out the answer for yourself, that's not always something that can be Googled. A good example is my sister has memorized pi to about 100 decimal places. But I can calculate pi to more decimal places than I'll ever need. I don't think I'll ever need any more than 4. But I can calculate pi to about 10 decimal places. May not be 100, but at least I know how to do it. But on that note, I think I'll end this video here. There is more of that video to respond to, but I'll keep that for a future video, and this video is already long enough. Remember to leave a like and subscribe if you like this video, and remember to ring the bell because otherwise YouTube doesn't always notify you of when I post a video. And also, leave a comment letting me know if you are disappointed that I got certain things wrong, or if you agree with the sentiment that it's better to figure things out for yourself. As always, a big shout out to my $20 or more patrons. What Jesus, Hugh Jarsz, M.C.Nutkin, Jane Spade, Wolfie, Morrie, and the Friendly Antinatalist. If you want to support me financially, you can do so on Patreon. There should be a link there. But anyway, I will see you in the next video. Between you and me, thank you for watching.